Hello, everyone. Oh, I've got a piece of my adjacent table in the view there. I'll move that out. Oh, it's moving it in the view. Move it out of view. There we go. Hey, get what you need for our practice. I'm going to turn my fan off in case that interferes with the audio. Hey, hey, so good to be here today with you. My name's aLex. We're here at Sun and Moon Yoga Studio through YouTube. All these different ways we can be together these days. I was just reflecting, let me take something off my screen. I was just reflecting as I was getting ready, and I just start a video to make sure the earbuds are connected. And I started a video from 5 years ago with our teacher, my friend Carol Stell, doing one of the first classes we offered when the pandemic struck. Our first pivot was we didn't do the Zoom thing yet, but for the first weeks, we offered yoga and I offered this meditation. I think my class was on Fridays. I can't remember. Maybe I was always Sundays or Saturdays. They were half hour, like this one is. And so you can go back there. The point is, you can go back into our archives on the YouTube page under videos. And I can't remember for how many months we ran the YouTube. It was a long time. So there are lots and lots of great classes there with, I think Annie was one of the teachers, Andrea Quiche, and a number of others. Carol, I think we have a class from Enid. So it's a fun archive to go touch base into. All right, today's practice is going to be centered around the idea of safety. We're going to be lying on our side. I'm going to jump into that pretty quickly here. Um, have our centering there, or maybe quickly center from our seated and lay on our side. Now, lying on your side is not comfortable for everyone. Uh, and my age, I just turned 64. Things 10, 15 years ago, I didn't have trouble doing much of anything. Our bodies, when we're younger, are more soft, more limber. Um, as we age, not too doesn't happen to everyone at the same way, but many of us feel more creaky, I call it, or there's stiffnesses, there's injuries. And I'm especially remembering teaching this to a very good friend of mine who's also a yoga teacher, to Virginia, actually, who has a scoliosis in her spine. And she's had, I think it's much better now, actually, but there was a period, this was about 18, 15 years ago, um, where it was really giving her a lot of pain. And so when sh I guided this practice, she really didn't like didn't like it at all. So I'm saying all that to prevent if you're so if oh wow, I'm just noticing that chat is not available. Not sure why, but I see that there's some of you out there. So thank you for being here. Thank you so much. I'm saying all that to make sure that you don't suffer silently, that you find a way to be on your side that's comfortable. So you'll see behind me, I have put some padding. The carpet in this room has no padding under it. So it's if I put a folded blanket there. So as I lie down to show you, I'll have a little more comfort. Sometimes putting like more padding or even more pillows under maybe where your rib cage is on the side. And possibly I was thinking you could even be sitting on your couch and lying onto the kind of sitting on your side, maybe just lying on your couch or lying on the supine or leaning onto the back, sort of leaning to the side of something. Or even one idea is you could even kind of put some pillows up against a wall and sit up against the wall. So find a way to be comfortable. Arriving just for a moment, just where you are, as all these words have come at you. As we are at this threshold, we're always on a threshold. Something is always turning into something else at a fast pace or at much slower paces. And we're purposely part of what we do here together is slow things down. Beginning to notice the breathing, beginning to notice how the energy of your body, your mind, your whole experience. Like sometimes you can explain or uh, yeah, explain what your or say what your experience is with your hands. Like sometimes my energy when I first sit to meditate or to do these practices is like I'm shimmering my hands. Sometimes it's up, just up. Rarely is it already as quiet as it is getting already with just a couple minutes of coming together for this purpose. And what is that for you? What brought you here? And again, thank you so much for joining me. Community in all the various circles that we have it is so vital. And a touch base with our communities, whether it's family, friends, our spiritual communities, our work communities, and the relationship, the strands of relationship so support us. And not only that, it's we're not separate from each other. And so to be with our tribes is so vital. And so we're going uh, to transition to lying on our side, and I may come back up from this before you, guide you through it, but I will join you. And I really, it's really no good that I don't have chat there, but because you could let me know if the sound is bad. There's my dog's arm. He's a little in the way. So because I would anyway, I hope the sound goes well. Sometimes when I get further away from the computer, somehow it goes quieter. So, lying on your side, your knees can be bent. Sometimes it's nice to have something between your knees. You could have something under your head for sure. As I said, more underneath. So, on your side, I'm going to put a pillow under my head as well. And just find out, is it comfortable? And so we can re-arrive to this position, knees bent, and your top arm, making sure somehow that the arm close to the ground is comfortable. It could be even under your head. You're hearing me? Yeah. The other arm can be laying on your side, and we might use it to actually, you can use your hand to feel your rib cage. Oh, it's way down there. It starts way down there by the waist. Can feel how it comes up front, and comes up angling up the front toward the tip of the breastbone. Or the tip of the breastbone has a great name, the xiphoid process, little bone. And in the back, it's kind of lower down by the waist, and then it comes angles back up. Each of the ribs here are like handles of a pail. They pivot on the front and back um, points where they're attached. And when we breathe, they come up a little bit, not as much as like a pail all the way to the side, but they come up a little bit and back down. And each of the ribs, how many are there? 11, 12? I always forget. One sex has one more than the other, and I always forget. And if you feel between the ribs, it's not a solid mass of bone, ribs, as you know, when you've eaten ribs, you can see there's there's tissue between them, muscle and connective tissue. And just giving yourself a little massage of the ribs here is good. And you can go over to the side that's closer to the floor. And then I'm going to oh, and I wanna let you know how high the ribs come. When you feel to the upper chest, to your collarbones, the first rib is actually above the collarbone, closer to the top of the head. So they stretch, and you've got ribs sort of up there underneath your near your armpit. So imagine from the neck to the waist, we divide the rib cage into three: a band that's closer to the neck, one band that's in the middle there near the breasts, and then one band closer to the waist. And that middle band, imagine that middle band pressing into the ground and then releasing. And I say imagine, but you can actually do it. Try to do it. Press that middle band and then release it. And so you might feel that it's hard to isolate just that middle band of ribs, those three or four ribs. And that's fine. That's fine that you just do this as you can interpret it, and to get comfortable in my head. And make sure that my earbud is not affected. There we go. So pressing that middle band, not straining, and then releasing and just relaxing. And one more time. Middle band presses. It feels like you're hardly doing anything, but there is some effort happening. Excellent. Just rest for a moment. And if you ever need a rest to just roll onto your back or roll onto your belly, just come out of this. Please do what you need. And I kind of jumped over the centering part. As we rest here, let's do that a little bit more. We did it at sitting. Now let's center ourselves again. Let's arrive at this point, this moment in time, at this present moment, sensing breath, listening for all that we're hearing, feeling, sensing around us, as well as within us. Sensing the parts of the body touching the ground. And already, after we've done this little bit of motion, you might have things might be a little more in technicolor, more resolution, high res. Right, let's do that again. Middle band of ribs, press it to the ground. Might feel a little bit like the whole body that's closer to the ground sort of spreads out a little. It might feel different for you. And then do that again, and then relax between each after each pressing. Just one more time. One more time pressing and then release. Just pause. This is a really different action, and it takes not only physical energy, but sort of your mental configuration, putting things together, coordinating this effort. That's something so new if you've never done this before. Now, let's shift our attention to that lower third, closer to the waist. You can even touch as I'm touching there to see and feel with see with your fingers. And then imagine pressing that piece of the rib cage that's closest to the ground down into the ground and then releasing. And so oftentimes when we press something down, something else lifts up. Maybe you feel your shoulder axis and your hips lift up toward the ceiling a little bit more to let this happen. Or maybe you determine what's happening on the side of the body that's closer to the sky as you press that lower third of your ribs closer into the ground. Pausing between the pressings. And just one more time. Let it go and notice what you felt in your neck and your shoulders and your legs. And as we just relax, what the whole body feels like. Something is different than it was before this set of presses. Relax in the jaw or in the eyes. And so we're combining relaxing, keeping a sense of feeling safe and comfortable with attention, with an alertness, a gentleness, even if we're working forcefully. And one last piece that we'll do, maybe, just look at the time there. Okay, so now you guessed it, we're going to work with the top third, even though I'm not going to revisit the others as I did on the other set. And so you can again check what those ribs are. We didn't even realize that there was a ribs up there close to the armpit and under the shoulder blade in the back. And from a relaxed and comfortable place, maybe tickle your dog with your feet and press that upper part. And I'm actually rolled. This is partly so I make sure my hearing, my audio devices are hopefully working well. But I'm rolled back a little bit. You might be rolled forward a little bit. I usually am rolled more forward, so yeah, by being rolled back a bit, I actually find it easier to access that upper third of the rib cage. Press and a thorough release. So slow. Press. Sometimes we go fast, but initially, especially as we're trying something new, it's valuable to go slow. See what the surrounding scenery is like. And just to contradict myself, try to go fast. Try to go fast. Press, release, press, release, press, release. Sometimes going fast actually does work kind of well, even when we're learning. Sometimes. And then go back to slow, maybe one or two more times, and seeing what arrangements happen around the other parts of the body besides the part that is doing the pressing. All right, and let it go. And then roll onto your back. Stretch out, or you could keep your knees bent if you like. A lot of times there's a lot more space and release, or just the different spaces that line up. And feel free to bend knees, as I said, that makes it nicer on your lower back for some of us. And we only did one side, sort of. Maybe we'll do a little bit more. But really, both sides are doing something. If you're a golfer or a tennis player, racquetball player, as I talk, let's roll back onto our side again. Same side. You're doing something that is your swing is in one direction. Usually, there's a few people who are ambidextrous who do both sides. You go both ways. So now we're going to do something a little bit differently, just with whichever third that you'd like to. Maybe it's the easiest one, maybe it's the one that was a little challenging, but we're going to do something a little bit different. And you might even use your hand. I'm going to place my hand on that lower third. Maybe you'll work the upper third close to the armpit or the middle third. I'm going to work with the lower third. And now imagine that you're pulling this third up away from the ground. Not just imagine, but do it. The imagining is an important part of it. So, and you could imagine that you're being pulled from like strings, some kind of what's it called? Crane is pulling the lower thirds of of your rib cage up a bit, and then just letting it back down, not too suddenly. So pulling that third up, and you might feel other parts lift. My waist lifts a bit. I'm pulling some of that middle band of ribs up as well. And then let's let that that whichever band you're working with, press it into the ground and then let it lift up away. So it may make a little space underneath, or at least unweight yourself from there. So I'm going to make the amplitude of my movement less. not pushing so forcefully into the ground. It's almost like a little dance move if we were upright. So that is one way you have done this action probably in a different time and place. All right, and just let it go. If you like, you can roll back onto your back. Yeah, let's do that for a moment. Let's roll onto our back. I'm just gonna keep that pillow under my head. You might notice differences in the two sides, how they feel. Something about your breathing or about the energy of. Ooh, okay, now slowly, mindfully roll to your side, being attentive to what it takes to push into the ground and come up to sitting. Just arrive for a moment, even as you might be like me, gathering the things we need for our quiet, still sitting portion. And I should have said, you're welcome to stay on the ground and do the silent, still meditating portion there. And as I said, the word welcome, I welcome those of you who signed up. Thank you for doing that. That helps me out to know you're there. Svetla, welcome. And I think Nancy was there. Some of you signed up recently were Dawn and Tanya, Joanne, Nina. I know sometimes Steve is here. He sometimes joins us. Many, many of you over the years. So make any adjustments you need to just be comfortable for our. Oh, we'll do an 8-minute sit. I like to sit up on a blanket, folded blanket, and like a little something under my knee. And arrive again. Just settle yourself in. I'm going to tell a little story as we start, but you can settle into the stillness and silence as soon as you're ready. And I bow, formally begin. Silent and still meditation, not completely silent as you're hearing my words. So important to set up the safety. Now, I place my hands in this universal mudra, this shape, but you can let your hands rest on your legs or just fold them in your lap or a different shape of the hands. I have been promising to talk about that maybe next week a little bit more. Safety. So when a child comes out from the bedroom saying, "Mommy, mommy, there's monsters under my bed. I'm scared in there." What the adult does, the whoever's caring for the child, if they just say, "Oh, it's ridiculous. Go back to your room. There's nothing there." It's not usually as effective. The child might go back, but then they're left to having to figure out, am I really safe? And that fear is very, very real, even if there's no basis for it. But here's where community is so important that the adult can, the caregiver can take the child by the hand, walk back to the room together, look under the bed, look around, look in the closet. Hey, there's nobody here. And crawl back in bed, tuck in, and the parent can sit there for a few minutes, letting the child's breath get quieter. into that rhythm where the adult might even know that the child is asleep, and then quietly leave the room being still nearby down the hall. It's so, so vital for us to know this feeling of safety, to be able to investigate and welcome and come to understand and know and understand the things that frighten us, frustrate us, anger us. So I dedicated that time to tell you that story and make words during our silent piece. And perhaps you even feel in your body. It's very valuable, very uh, helpful to being able to quickly retrieve that, quickly find again that feel of safety, that knowing of safety. We know it, we know what it's like. And to be able to grab that for ourselves, back to this centered, calm place. So very, very powerful. And now from there, we watch, entertain, we open to whatever comes. Sometimes relaxing a little bit more as you notice as what comes is a little bit of lift of the shoulders or a tightening of the belly. Let yourself relax. Just, just being the presence that sees all, that observes without any agenda, all that comes through the breath, the thoughts, the tickles. And more breaths together in the stillness of this practice. And to mark the threshold of this particular practice ending and whatever's next beginning, we bow and just stay in that awareness that's a little heightened, perhaps. And I'd like to share one more story as we transition to whatever is next for us um, illustrates this power of calming down, and that we choose it. It's easier to. It's almost like we a default is going into more higher energetic states. To come to the calmer state, we have to choose this, and we teach each other. We help each other to learn. So Mary Jane, who sometimes joins us here, she has a little white dog, and when I met her little white dog, I think Maltese poodle, Maltipoo, and Tigger, my dog, and I had my little white dog who was pretty new to me, Rock. And Rock, as he meets new dogs often or new people, he's much better now, but he's barks and snips. And we were standing a little just close to each other, but not too close. And Mary Jane just was so calm and said, "Oh, he's just anxious." And Rock calmed down so quickly and didn't bark anymore. And I'm learning so much as I used to talk a lot about how all these lessons are evident in our relationships with our dogs. And so it was such an illustration of how a person or if you have one being who can hold that calm space, how contagious it is, and how in a positive way, and how powerful it can be. And I do want to also add that um, we do need to act in the world. And so part of us, I think, sort of fears, part of our mind is sort of fearing that, yeah, but if I'm so calm, I won't have the mental quickness to do what I need to do. And so I'm thinking of those who are in roles like air traffic controllers or pilots or surgeons who it's not that you can't be very knowledgeable about many specific distinct things and have a very focused attention, and yet to have this I'm motioning like wider. The calmness is sort of the opposite of the tightening in. It's like both together, the yin and the yang together. The yin, having that spacious, your peripheral vision is alert, even though you might be focusing right on whatever's important in front of you. And actually, that's when we can be the most effective, is when the yin and the yang are just in balance with each other. And that symbol, it's a powerful teaching symbol, but that's what it means. It's not cut down the middle, it's dynamic. The teardrop shape is because it's a dynamic cycle, and there's a dot of each and the other. I won't go into that right now, but you can maybe ponder it like a koan. So it's not that we just do this just so that we can sit and be quiet and still and peaceful. That's wonderful, and has its own powerfulness, but to tap that that we can know more readily, that can have that switch to be calm, to just see he's just anxious, and we can know what we need to do. Thank you so much for joining me again, and I hope you stay cool if you're living where I live, and a lot of the East Coast of the United States. It's very hot today and the next few days. I'll see you next week, and in the meantime, do check out our schedules online, the workshops we offer, and we offer many things online and in person. Next weekend, I'll be away. Oh, yeah, I'll probably record earlier than usual, and this will be posted. So I won't be live at 10 o'clock next Sunday. But I think it's that Sunday. Yes, there is a workshop on, it's an energy workshop. I forget the name of it with Marjorie. If you're in the Northern Virginia area, you might like to check that out. sunandmoonstudio.com. Ciao, ciao. Take care.